Yo, what's going on, Dragon Ballers? Welcome back to another video. Yesterday we talked about the losers of the Set 16 Realm of the Gods ban list, and today we'll be covering the strategies and decks that come off as winners of the Set 16 ban list. These decks were either directly or indirectly buffed as a result of the Set 16 ban list. So if you're new here, make sure to subscribe, hit that bell so you don't miss a video. And if you guys want to help support the channel, there are many ways to do so down in the description, but particularly today, if you guys want to buy or pre-order any of the cards to talk about in today's video, use my link in the description to TCG Player. It really does help the channel out a lot. Also, make sure to check out Mystic TCG, our team sponsor, where you can buy sealed product or even sell cards if you're looking to do that. Anyways, let's get into the video talking about our first slew of winners. Okay, so this page is very different looking, but this really just sums up a whole sort of play style that is a big winner off of the ban list, and that is really just your long game control decks. Your long game control decks are winners of the ban list for several reasons, the first of which being Fu Shrouded in Mystery is now banned. So that was actually a really good check to Sin Shenron in general, which was the more, I guess you could say, represented or meta deck out of these three picks in particular. And when I'm talking about these three decks, I'm not only talking about Sin, Hatchiyack, and Invoker. I'm just using these as representatives for other control decks. So any control deck you guys enjoy playing, you can almost generally slot it in this same category as a deck that comes off as a winner of the ban list. So again, Fu Shrouded Mystery is gone. That was a big check to Sin Shenron, but it was also very good against Hatchiyack because it was a 10 drop that could get around its leader auto, and it was good against Invoker because for the most part they didn't have a card to actually stop Fu's effect, so that's very good there. Control decks were actually already in a decent spot because of the new time changes where they do get rewarded for being able to stay at a high life total, so that was one thing going for them that was good already. But the next thing that definitely helps these types of decks a lot is the fact that Cell Surge is gone. Cell Surge would kind of be able to eat these decks alive before they get to their end game. You know, if you make it a turn 6, turn 7, turn 8, and that's your win condition turn, that's all great, but if you get there with no hand, you're not really doing a whole lot, right? And Cell Surge could obviously win the game far before that and really just never allow these decks a chance to get going, get ready. You know, Aggro had a really good time against Cell Surge and has a pretty good time against hand control in general, but these control decks that need time to build up, Cell Surge just doesn't give them that kind of time. So with Cell Surge being banned and no real hand control leader, up on the horizon, these decks are in a really good spot. And the third reason why control decks are looking to be in a very good spot going into Set 16 is because of the unique tag added to Goku True Fighting Spirit in the Gogeta Xeno deck. So a lot of times control can do well against aggro because of the different floodgate cards. You have Violent Rays in red, you have Nimbus or Robotic Riposte in Sin Shenron, just as a few examples. And the way Gogeta Xeno could get around that or combat that was by spamming multiple copies of Goku True Fighting Spirit onto the board. That is no longer going to be possible in Set 16 Realm of the Gods format. So that's just another great thing that these control decks have going for them. So gonna be a little bit unfortunate if you guys hate, how the game kind of goes into time most tournaments, and a lot of decks end up going into time and drawing. But this is undoubtedly a really good ban list for long game control decks, in my opinion. Let me know in the comments below, what control decks are you guys playing that you're looking forward to playing now that control seems to be in a much better spot. Next up, we have Red. So Red is a winner of Set 16 for multiple reasons. So theoretically, the big three, being Icarus, Gogeta Xeno, and Cell Surge, have all been brought down a peg in various ways. Cell Surge pretty much taken off the map completely. Icarus is gone, although Set 16 Trunks is probably just going to step up as the next best yellow leader. But with Power over Super Saiyan down to 1 as well, that is a power and consistency it's a yellow, therefore theoretically bringing the color down a peg or two. And then we have Gogeta Xeno getting, multiple nerfs. Still should be a tier 1 deck, but again, just being brought down in power somewhat, right? So Red is not only a winner because of that, because we had Red decks that were doing well already. We had Red Jiren, we had U7 Vegeta and Gohan, we had Red Broly BR, and now in Set 16, we're getting Goku, who is already kind of proving to be a really solid red deck, right? It's kind of like this red mid-rangier deck, but can still go pretty aggro, whereas red has been a good aggressive color for the past several sets. Now it's getting a good mid-range boss monster in the form of Son Goku Ultra Mastery. Oh, and I also don't want to forget to mention that King Piccolo has been doing surprisingly well also, so that's also another thing red has going for it. But yeah, the other colors being brought down a peg or two, as well as red getting another really good deck in set 16, is just a really big win for red in general. So theoretically what this means is like all the colors should start to kind of get a bit closer to each other in terms of like power echelons, right? Green unfortunately probably takes the biggest hit because its best deck, that, and it was the only deck kind of carrying it through the meta, is now gone, right? And green is probably just going to result back to being, you know, rogue at best. Red was pretty much rogue at best, but could jump up a peg because of this new U7 Goku deck, as well as the other colors coming down a bit. And then, you know, yellow and black should still be really strong, and we'll talk about blue in just a second. So yeah, let's get into that right now, actually. Blue is a huge winner of this ban list. Nothing was directly done to blue. Blue didn't lose any cards, and you know, I don't think that it really should have. A lot of people were calling for Soul Striker to be banned, and it wasn't for the reason of, you know, Soul Striker being overbearing or way too strong. The problem with Soul Striker is the problem we've honestly seen with a lot of blue leaders in the past, and that's just when there's one blue leader that's clearly better than the best, why would you play any other blue leader? It was kind of the same problem with yellow as well. With Icarus being the de facto best yellow leader, why would you ever even look at another yellow leader if you were trying to play at the highest tiers of competitive play, right? Soul Striker does kind of, you know, present that problem. I definitely agree, but I didn't think Bandai would hit it because of precedent. You know, blue hasn't really been that crazy in the meta, and they usually don't tend to touch decks preemptively if they haven't been doing anything crazy in the meta. Look at Cell Surge from the set 15 ban list. It didn't do enough for them to warrant hitting it, so they didn't. Kind of the same thing that happened with Soul Striker here. But again, same thing with red. With all the other colors coming down a peg, blue just looks all that much stronger, which is kind of crazy. And Soul Striker was already a deck that could kind of hang with the top three. It wasn't quite in that level of power, but it was already a deck that could do well in events with those big three strategies. So the fact that they all got brought down several tiers, Soul Striker is looking to be incredibly well positioned. Most lately we've been seeing blue yellow and blue red builds be very popular, but mono blue is probably also something worth looking at. Probably a few different builds you can go, whether you want to go like a skillless Gohan blue build, or maybe just like blue good stuff deck. Soul Striker is looking to be very well positioned going into set 16. And then we have a couple wins for yellow. So I'm not talking about yellow in terms of the color taking a win here, but I am talking specifically about Future Trunks and Goku Black Wish taking a win off the set 16 ban list, because Icarus is now pretty much no longer playable competitively. Future Trunks kind of just like steps up into that role as the next best generic yellow leader, and I do think that this kind of opens up room for Goku Black Wish to do some things as well, because I do think Trunks is the better yellow leader in set 16 and pretty much as a whole compared to Goku Black. But I still think Goku Black is a solid deck. I think it's got a very good strategy. I think it's got a lot of consistency, a lot of deck filter. Honestly, it should be one of the most consistent decks in the game, between searching on your leader's front side for 2 cards, between the Dragon Balls filtering cards. It should just be an incredibly consistent deck, albeit maybe a little bit clunky filled with extra cards, but still, I think it's gonna be a really solid pick going into set 16. And obviously, like I said, I think Trunks is gonna pretty much just take over the spot of Icarus, you know, for yellow good stuff deck. And then finally, guys, the last winner of the set 16 ban list is our side decks. So many people were just defaulting to siding, you know, 8+ cards just to be able to hang in the ring with Cell Surge. And the fact that a super popular hand control deck that can actually rip your hand to 0 almost every single game is not going to be a problem anymore is really nice. Honestly, it is kind of nice to not have to worry so much about siding so heavily against that matchup. But now, don't take this as to say, you know, don't side for hand control completely. If you're still playing one of those slower control decks, or a deck that struggles with hand control, you may want to side 3 to 5 cards for hand control if you think it's going to be popular at an event, or if you just want to be safe, right? But it is a much better alternative than actually kind of like being forced to side, you know, 8 to 10 cards for a matchup that oddly enough wasn't super highly represented. Like, the thing with Cell Surge was, it wasn't always highly repped at many events, and that's probably, at least in my opinion, because people didn't find the deck very enjoyable to play, so they didn't want to bring it to, you know, a 7+ round tournament. Either that, or maybe they were afraid of aggro because Gogeta's, you know, was a super serious force in the format, so maybe they thought that was like a really losing matchup. Whatever the point is, Cell Surge wasn't super popular, but it was a force you had to respect in the format, so players had to side so heavily for it. Now that is a really nice feeling that you know, we don't really have to do that anymore, so that's really cool. But anyways, guys, those are the decks that I've taken away as winners of the set 16 ban list. Of course, if you guys have any other ideas for strategies or decks that you are going to be playing in set 16 because of the ban list, decks that you think are much better positioned, let me know down in the comments below. I'm definitely very interested to hear what you guys are thinking about that. Thanks for watching as always, guys. I really do appreciate it, and I'll see you in the next Dragon Ball Super video.